Do you feel like you're just too busy to grow your own food, that you just don't have time to keep up with all the watering, the weeding, the feeding? Well, you're certainly not alone. But today I want to talk to you about a way to grow our own food, which means you don't need to spend hours and hours in the garden watering, weeding, feeding, pricking out, a way that grows food in harmony with nature and leaves space for wildlife too. In today's video, I'm going to show you why a food forest is the best way to grow abundant food, but in a way that's really low on time and energy. I'm Pippa Chapman and I am on a mission to show people the real huge benefits of growing food, but in a food forest system. It's really much simpler than people think. You don't have to worry too much about complex companions. It's really a simple way of growing food in a multi-layered way, but in a way where it pretty much looks after itself, and you really only have to come out and do very minimal work, and most of what you're doing is actually harvesting the foods that you want to eat. I love growing annual veg, but the main problem that I find is that everything sort of happens all of a sudden in spring. So I'm just kind of coming out of my winter hibernation, and all of a sudden, like, I get really excited about seeds, but very quickly I'm overwhelmed by the amount of seeds I have to sow, keeping up with the watering, trying to keep up with my seed sowing schedule. Then I've got to prick them out into bigger pots, keep them all watered and fed with the right amount of sunlight. Then I'm sort of trying to decide, is it right to plant them out now? If I put them out now, are they going to get frosted? Then you've got to try and fight all the slugs and other pests that there are out there, trying to keep them alive. And then generally annual vegetables are not as tough and hardy as some of our perennials, so there's a lot more, they're a lot more vulnerable to pests and diseases. And sometimes it just feels like such a constant battle, and all you have to do is take your eye off the ball for a week or two, and all of that hard work at the beginning of the season can be lost. And it can be incredibly frustrating, and particularly for people who are new to gardening, it can be just really off-putting. You know, the amount of people that take on an allotment and then just give it up because it just feels like too much work, and they put loads of work in and then it fails. So really what I want to talk about today is why I believe, obviously very biased, that food forests are a better way to grow our own food. And here's the thing that many people just don't realise about a food forest, is that once it's planted, that it takes very, very little work to keep it going. Particularly if you start small rather than trying to plant up a huge area all at once. You'll be amazed at how little input you have to put in once you've planted your garden up, and really most of what you're doing is just coming out and picking things. What you want to put in are layers of perennial plants like I've got here. So we've got things like perennial kales and some skirret and some Japanese wineberry. We've got some Turkish rocket, some Welsh onions, chamomile, all these things growing within this space. And there isn't any light in here for the weeds to get going. You know, the soil is completely full of edible crops. So I've had to do pretty much no weeding at all in my forest garden for most of the year, because there is no space for weeds. It's just full of crops that I can eat and use in my house and garden. These perennial plants, they're also tougher, so they require a lot less watering. They require a lot less looking after. I don't have to mollycoddle them. They just spring up from the ground without me really having to do anything other than adding a mulch down every year, just to keep adding organic matter to the soil. And actually, once this forest garden has been growing, this is still quite new, it's about 2-3 years old. Once this has been going a few years, I probably won't even have to come and put a mulch down, because it will have built up enough organic matter itself just from leaves dropping to the ground and dying. I probably won't really have to come and put much of a mulch in here either. I've added in fertility nitrogen fixing plants, so they're bringing in the fertility. So really it requires very little input from me compared to my annual vegetables, which are very hungry. I have to be looking after all the time. I have to keep feeding, whether it's liquid feeds or rich compost mulches. You know, they take a lot of inputs, whereas this forest garden has been very minimal in terms of what I've had to do. And these perennials are just so robust. Like, even if I walked away and left this garden for months, everything would still grow quite happily without my inputs. Whereas if I did that in my annual vegetable garden, I can only imagine the size of the weeds when I came back, having been away for months. And yeah, they're just so much tougher in terms of pest and disease attacks. I've barely had anything, even the cabbage white butterflies on my brassicas, you know, this perennial kale Taunton Dean. It's just such a tough plant that I've even had in the past, I've had every single leaf off the perennial kale eaten away till it just looks like a skeleton of stems. And then as soon as the season for caterpillars is over, it just springs back in the winter and it puts on a flush of growth, and you would never know that it had been eaten entirely away earlier in the year. And one of the things that I think just completely flips on its head the way that we have been taught food growing, which requires a lot of inputs, rethinking everything every year, moving things in a rotation in our beds to prevent build-up of pests and diseases. These plants, they will just die down, and then without you doing anything, they just come back up again the year after. You know, it's just such a brilliant, like, mind-blowing way of growing your own food. So there are crops like this skirret here, so I will be digging some part of this up in the winter to harvest it, but all I will do is I will save some of the roots, I will put them back in the ground, and then skirret will grow again next year, and so I can just keep doing that on repeat. I don't have to dig the whole skirret up, harvest it, take it away, sow some seed, plant the seed again and wait for a new plant to grow. You know, it's so much simpler. And with the perennial kales, I can just be harvesting off them all the time. So even through the winter, they're putting up new leaves. It's not like where I plant kale seed, I have to wait for that plant to grow, I have to harden it off, I have to plant it out, then it has to get big before I can harvest it, and then at some point it flowers and I've got to dig it up and remove it. You know, these perennial kales will just stay here. Occasionally I will take a cutting and put that in the ground next to it, so that just in case that perennial kale gets frosted really badly one year, or you know, after say maybe 5 or 6, 7 years, sometimes they just get a bit old and woody and can fall over. So then I just take a cutting off it, stick it in the ground, and that starts to grow, so that I've got a replacement plant for if I ever lose the main one. So you can just see how much simpler and less work this way of growing can be. And certainly in terms of resilience, you know, these crops are so much more resilient than annual crops. So this year we have had the driest summer, well, spring and summer in Yorkshire for 135 years. It's just been unbelievably dry. It's barely rained for the whole of the summer. And these plants here have just really had to fend for themselves. And as you can see, you know, it has rained in the last week, but as you can see, everything looks really lush. Whereas I do have some raised beds with annual vegetables in the other side of this polytunnel, but those ones required constant watering. You know, if you didn't water them for a week, then everything would start to wilt because they didn't have a really well-developed root system like all of these perennial plants do. You know, when they come up in the spring, these plants have already got a really established root system, being able to get water from really far down in the ground, whereas when you're planting a tiny seedling, it's really not got very much soil at all in which to find water from, so it's so much more vulnerable to drought. So this is, you know, this has really shown how resilient these food forest systems are for this year, because as I say, it's just thrived despite the terrible drought. So if you're short on time, but you want to grow your own food, then food forests are an excellent solution. And you might think, well, I don't even have time to actually create a forest garden in the first place. But if you can just start small, so one year you could start with a fruit tree, a fruit shrub, a herbaceous perennial, even if it's a herb, something like mint or lemon balm, and a couple of ground cover plants around the base. You know, you can build on that every year until before you know it, you've got crops that you can just go and pick after work or just before you're rushing out in the morning, and without having to do all of the other stages that an annual vegetable garden brings with it. And the best thing about it as well is it can look absolutely beautiful. It can look just as beautiful as a normal garden, because some of our perennial fruits and vegetables and herbs look absolutely gorgeous as well. And by the time you've added in a few flowers for attracting in your pollinating insects and your natural pest control, you know, it can look absolutely stunning. So you've got a beautiful space to enjoy as well. And if you want to have a go at designing your own food forest, even if you're wanting to start on a really small scale, then check out my food forest design workbook, which is available as a printable PDF. I'll put the link in the description below. And this just breaks the whole process down into an easy step-by-step guide to follow. And by the end of the book, you will have designed the first part of your food forest. And I'd love to hear about if there are any particular plants that you love to grow in an annual vegetable garden and you're wondering what maybe a perennial alternative might be, then yeah, just add your comments and I will try and give some suggestions of things that you can substitute in that are much easier to look after.